They thought they had me figured out the moment they saw me. You know what I mean? The look came first, that quick up-and-down scan like a verdict delivered before a word was spoken, and I remember thinking, yeah, here we go again, another day where I'm already guilty of something I haven't done. It started on a Tuesday that felt too normal to turn ugly suns still warm on the pavement. Radio low, my brother Marcus joking about how every street in Westbrook Heights looked like it had been copied and pasted from the same brochure. Clean lawns, quiet porches, the kind of place people call safe without ever asking who it's safe for. We were just driving, nothing dramatic, nothing loud. Just two black men heading to our cousin Renee's place for dinner arguing about whether her cooking was overrated. Then, the cruiser slid into the mirror, slow, deliberate, like it was tasting the moment. Marcus sighed. "Count it down," he said. I didn't need to ask. The lights came on red and blue, washing over the dashboard, and I pulled over smooth because I've learned that even blinking wrong can become a story later. Hands visible, windows down, heart steady on the outside, sprinting on the inside. The officer walked up with that posture chest-out chin, tilted flashlight cutting across our faces like he was searching for a reason. License and registration. No hello, no why. Just command. I reached slow, narrated every move like a bedtime story because that's how you survive. The second officer lingered by my window. Eyes sharp, smile thin. "Where you boys headed?" he asked, already smirking. "My cousin's house," Marcus said. "Couple blocks up." The smile didn't change. "You don't live around here." That wasn't a question. I felt that familiar heat crawl up my neck, the urge to push back to ask how he knew to ask why it mattered, but I swallowed it because I wanted to eat dinner, not become a headline. Things escalated anyway because sometimes compliance is just a slower path to the same place. They told Marcus to step out. He asked why. Wrong move. Hands went to belts. Voices hardened. Because I said so. I stepped in calm on purpose. "Officer, what's the reason for the stop?" The answer came casual, almost bored. "We've had reports of suspicious activity." Marcus laughed once, sharp and bitter. "That's it, suspicious." The word hung there. The taller officer leaned closer, breath hot, and said it that word they know, land's heavy boy. I felt the air change like a storm deciding to break. They pushed Marcus against the hood harder than needed, hands roaming like punishment instead of procedure. I said his name, low, warning. Marcus shifted, just a little frustration leaking through control, and that was enough. "Stop resisting." One of them barked, even though he wasn't. The lie arrived before the action, neat and practiced. A shove, a stumble. I heard myself shouting, "He's not resisting," and then everything exploded. A shot cracked the quiet street loud enough to steal breath. Marcus dropped. The sound he made when he hit the ground is something that still wakes me up. I moved without thinking. Then, electricity slammed through me, locking my muscles, throwing me face first onto asphalt that scraped my cheek raw. "Officer down," someone yelled, panic painted on thick, and I knew even then it wasn't true. I could see Marcus from the ground chest, barely moving, eyes wide and confused. I crawled anyway, body screaming, hands shaking as I pressed on the wound warm and slick, telling him to stay with me, please, please just breathe. He looked at me and tried to smile. "Guess dinner's canceled," he whispered, because that was Marcus joking, even when the world was taking everything. Then his grip tightened on my sleeve and he said it quiet, urgent. "Don't let them get away with it." And then he was gone. They dragged me back, knees in my spine, cuffs biting into my wrists, someone saying stop resisting like a script they'd memorized. At the station, time dissolved into fluorescent buzz and paperwork. They charged me with assault. Assault. I sat there tasting blood, thinking about how fast a life can be rewritten. Renee showed up first, eyes red, but jaw set, then a lawyer friend she trusted. "They're already shaping the story," she said. "We need hours out there." That was the pivot, the moment where grief sharpened into something else. I didn't want revenge. I wanted truth, and I wanted it loud. The days that followed were a blur of interviews, protests, and official statements that said a lot without saying anything. Tragic incident. feared for his safety. You've heard the phrases. I started digging because anger needs direction, or it eats you alive. We pulled records, complaints, body cam gaps, dispatch logs with convenient silences. Turns out those two officers, Daniels and Rourke, had a history buried under internal reviews that cleared them every time. Patterns don't lie even when people do. Pressure built, cameras stayed, and still nothing moved. That's when I realized winning wasn't going to feel clean. It was going to feel exhausting. But then something cracked. A witness came forward. Then another. Footage surfaced that didn't match the report. The city couldn't ignore it anymore. Daniels and Rourke were pulled off the street, then charged. Watching them in court, stripped of confidence, I felt something settle in my chest. Not joy. Relief. Like a weight finally acknowledged. It didn't bring Marcus back. It didn't erase the nights I still hear that gunshot. But it mattered. And here's where it gets complicated, because some people will say justice was served and we should move on. Others will say it never should have taken this much to prove a man deserved to live. I'm somewhere in between, carrying a win that still hurts. If you've ever been judged before you spoke, if you've ever felt that quiet fear when lights flash behind you, you know this story isn't just mine. So tell me, what does justice look like to you? Is it punishment reform, transparency, all of it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because silence is how these stories repeat, and conversation is where change actually starts.